Neocolonialism. So this is one of the African presidents are trying to actually instill the value on why we should think, learn, and invest in Africa. You know, neo-colonialism. Just watch this a short clip.
We have launched several initiatives, both in the agricultural sector and in the fields of education, health, and community development. And through these initiatives for education, we want to build our schools, our grandes écoles here, to train our elites so that they can serve Burkina Faso. That is why I would urge you to go all out so that we can establish these elite schools, so that these talented individuals do not end up going abroad. Because for a long time, imperialists have always drawn talent from here through scholarships. Once they are home, they do not return to the country. I do not want these brains that are here to end up abroad and not serve our country. Make sure that these initiatives succeed and that we can establish the polytechnic and technological universities we need so that these children can express all their talents and work for the benefit of our homeland.
This is a topic that has been overlooked, for over decades. But the truth is, its shadow still looms over the continent of Africa. So I'm going to break down several points, how to mitigate and how they are affecting our country, or our continent. So neocolonialism is a system where powerful nations and organizations exert control over less powerful nations. For this instance, mostly less powerful nations are these African countries. Are these African countries. So it's not through direct rule, colonialism ends. So it's not through direct rule, but through economic, political, and cultural pressures. Think of it, colonialism in a suit, Economic independence. So take example this. Africa is home to over 30% of the world mineral resources, yes. But many countries don't control their own wealth. We have seen many occasions here in Africa, like for example in Congo, for example in Zimbabwe, in Kenya, among other countries, So this multinational corporation from the West, and now China, they dominate in the African industry, or they dominate in Africa, industries like oil, diamond, and gold, Well, this corporation take billions. But you see, the local communities still live in poverty. And so unfortunate that many of these African countries, there are other African presidents being part and parcel of what is going, or the havoc that's being inflicted in other African countries. Like, let's take example a specific case study. Democratic Republic of Congo, there has a large deposit of cobalt. Just recent, a mountain, if you didn't see the clip, a mountain or a hill collapsed and it exposed copper, not copper, but it was copper, So these materials like cobalt, copper, there are other African countries that are benefiting from it. Let's say about cobalt is an essential for making actually smartphones and electric cars. Yeah. So the miners mine under dire condition. Who benefits profits from the profit? They go to foreign companies. Yeah. Go here to Congo. You'll see that many companies, they're foreigners, you know. So even Congolese themselves, they are barely surviving. Huh? They're barely surviving from this or from what they are mining. Is, you know, debt trap. You know, another key feature of neocolonialism is debt. You know, African countries borrow billions from institutions like LM, IMF, and World Bank. I'm sorry to say this. You guys are making Africans to suffer. You see, in Kenya, like last year, there have been many protests, you know, organized by Gen Zs. So these protests, actually, one of their grievances was against IMF. You know, IMF imposes taxes, which makes the cost of living to go high. As a result, okay, IMF does not, sorry to say, IMF does not impose taxes, but they give loans with conditions, you know. So these conditions are very dire for African countries to meet. Yeah, they're very dire for African countries to meet. So these loans often come with the strings attached, policy that cut public services and favors foreign investors. You saw what happens in Kenya, you know. We saw like the incumbent president of Kenya, when he came into power, he was advocating for less loans, equitable distribution of these grants and loans, you know, to make it fair, because IMF, World Bank, wherever, China, they are making these African countries a mess. You know, like in Zambia, there's heavy borrowing for infrastructure projects, which has led to debt crisis. Recently, I think there was a certain country, whose harbor was taken by China because of loans. If you remember the name, can you please write in the comment section, you know. So these countries might lose control over their natural assets, like copper mines, you know, like harbors, in order for them to actually pay these loans. Well, another thing is political influence and interference. So a good example we've seen, like since Ibrahim Traore took over power, he ensured that he has chased foreigners from their country, you know. So these guys comes in, manipulate the government, manipulate whoever wants to ascend in power, for them to get place, you know, for them to get a say, for them to get control. And the biggest example is Francophone, you know, France. France will poke, France will come to your door, France will want for you to cook for them, France will want you to wash their feet. Yeah. Like in West African countries like Mali and Burkina Faso have pushed back against France's military presence, eh? So accusing it of prioritizing its own interest over regional stability. So these guys comes and put their military there in the name of we are protecting your country, we want to ensure a regional stability, but the intention is one, they are protecting their mining resources. You see? So these guys are protecting their mining resources. There's an investor, there's a white investor there who has just discovered this copper. He has bought a large piece of land there. He asked his home country for support. They sent military, they, you know, uh, you know, there are memes actually which I've seen, like Africa discover a mineral, then you see the country A, I think you know the country A. Oh, there's a there's a terrorism threat there. You want to establish a military camp there so that 1, 2, and A, B, C, D shall be done. Yeah. So, Mr. Traore, push them. Another one is cultural domination. Okay, we know like most curriculums in Africa that we have, they're either British made, French made, like it has okay, actually the country with its colonial master, you know. So the somehow that this colonial master influenced the type of education system for the type of education influenced the type of education system for a certain country. So let's not forget cultural neocolonialism. Western media and education system often dominate, shaping perceptions and promoting the idea of Western lifestyle are superior. They can be superior in some ways. Okay. This can erode African traditions and identity, you know. So like now the LGBTXYZ, you know, it's the main issue being talked in Africa right now. Yeah, their activities. So this is not African culture. It was influence, you know. When countries try to ban, this idea, the mother countries or the parent countries, they're trying to impose things like sanctions. Who will not do this? Who will not do that? You know. Another thing, it's the climate justice and environmental exploitation. So neocolonialism has injustices on Africans also are on the front line of climate change. This crisis is largely caused by industrialized nations, yet African countries are often pressured to extract resources unsustainably for global market. Yeah, so Africans are being used to contribute to global warming. Listen, these Africans, yeah, we have, but most these companies do. You can see a non-colored person. Is it the right time to say, yeah, an uncolored person with this kind of industry that actually these industries are extracting, they're doing mining, you know, and what is the effect? Yeah, a local environment get worsened and damaged. So in Nigeria, the Niger Delta, yeah, which oil companies like Shell have accused of causing massive pollution and destroying ecosystems and displacing local communities from their actual areas. You see? So, what should be done to actually mitigate this neo-colonialism? Yeah? Africa to have to stand. So, what are the steps that can be done by African? One thing, uh, the Kenyan Gen Z are doing it. Rise, stand against the oppressors. Rise, stand against these neo-colonists. It's not all doom and gloom. Africans are fighting back. Movements like the African Continental Free Trade Area aim to boost trade within continent, reducing dependence on external powers. We have seen Africans trying to remove trade restriction between countries, each other. We have seen African trying to embrace local market. Kenya, I've seen like example from Kenya, like there's this textile industry, they're trying to actually minimize the exportation of these raw materials, like the textile. Yeah. So we are also seeing rise in tech innovation with startups in Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa, which are making waves globally. And cultural, there is surgence of pride in African heritage. Yeah, people are embracing African traditions. You see many of, okay, I can say that there are things we are doing as Africans. They are Westerners, but we are embracing it. There are communities like Maasai in Kenya, the Hoi, the Sosa or the Hosa. How do we pronounce it? Put it in the comment in South Africans. The voodoo in Nigeria, and Ghana, trying to embrace the African thing. So, and let's African presidents, African leaders to rise and protect this. Yeah. So this trend, there's reducing reliance on export raw materials. Trying to let's renegotiate on ways to pay these gates. Let's negotiate on the rates, so that they cannot impose heavy things on us that we can never actually, or we cannot be able to accommodate it. So what are your thoughts on neo-colonialism? Have you seen an example of it in your community, neo-colonialism in your community? Let's continue this conversation in chats below. Type, let's share. Let's see the incidents. Let's see the incidents, what you've witnessed in neo-colonialism in your area. So please don't forget to like, subscribe for more insightful content. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and say no to neo-colonialism. Thank you. Peace out.